Good evening. Our sign language interpreter is Njoki Shege. Now, family members of slain taxi driver Victoria Mumbua Muloki have identified her body at the city mortuary. The body was discovered after interrogation of a suspect, Edwin Ngetich, who was found in possession of Mumbua's stolen vehicle. Victoria has been missing since the 27th of September 2024 and was booked at the city mortuary 2 days later by police officers from Lari in Kiambu County.
Victoria Mumbua Muloki, the Mombasa-based taxi driver, was finally identified by her family on Thursday morning after an intense investigation into her disappearance on 27th of September.
Ndio nilipigiwa na tukakuja confirm. So we are still waiting for a postmortem. That's my sister. She was killed.
2 days later, her body was booked as unknown at the city mortuary on September 29th by officers from Lari Police Station in Kiambu County.
I don't know how my sister was found at Gilgil. From Mombasa by Gilgil. I don't know what happened. But it's okay. Now she's dead. I have confirmed it's her.
Detectives from Mombasa, Nakuru, Lari and the homicide headquarters led by Nyoguto were at the city mortuary to update the family on the progress of the investigation.
The phone was ilipatikana kwa gari, ikachukuliwa na DCI.
At this time, the main suspect Edwin Ngetich, who was arrested in Nakuru while driving a vehicle belonging to Muloki, was taken to Kilimani Police Station, where he is currently held. Records show that the suspect Edwin Ngetich has committed similar offenses before. Victoria Mumbua Muloki, a Mombasa-based taxi driver, went missing last week on Friday, 27th of September, after she accepted a ride request from Mombasa to Samburu.
Huyu jamaa ndiye aliwapeleka mahali alirusha sister yangu. Yeye ndiye alipeleka akaonyesha hapa, this is why we killed her. I need to know who killed my sister.
Now, as the body of Victoria Mumbua lies at city mortuary, questions from the family linger on how she was traversing from Mombasa to Kiambu County and later found at city mortuary here in Nairobi. The case has been transferred and taken over by the Homicide Department of DCI headquarters. Ode Francis, Citizen TV, city mortuary, Nairobi.
Now, the High Court in Milimani in Nairobi has once again deferred plea taking for 11 police officers accused in the murder of Baby Pendo, a victim of the 2017 post-election violence. Justice Lilian Mutende postponed the plea taking to 5th of November 2024 on grounds that one police officer among the accused persons was missing and there was need for him to be arrested and presented in court. The Police Reforms Working Group Kenya expressed dissatisfaction with the delays in seeking justice for the victim. Franklin Wala reports.
Taking for police officers accused in the murder of Baby Pendo was again postponed today. 11 police officers had been lined up for plea taking at the Milimani High Court on murder charges in the 2017 brutal killing of 6-month-old baby Samantha Pendo.
The deferring of plea taking against 12 police commanders and officers accused of killing baby Pendo and perpetuating several human rights violations against several Kisumu citizens under application of the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions today is a major disappointment to several survivors and victims' families.
The Office of the Public Prosecutions arguing one police officer who was among 12 officers and investigations had gone missing. Justice Lilian Mutende postponing the plea taking to a later date.
This case is pivotal in establishing police accountability and ensuring justice for the victims of police violence.
Baby Pendo was killed in 2017 when armed police officers raided Nyalenda village in Kisumu during the post-election protest. An inquest into her killing began in 2019. Holding several police officers accountable.
This case applies the principle of command responsibility for all police commanders who are being prosecuted who fail to effectively rein in or effectively command police action in the course of duty.
In 2022, the ODPP charged 12 police officers with crimes against humanity under the International Crimes Act. In July 2024, High Court Judge Kanyi Kimondo affirmed the jurisdiction of Kenyan courts to hear the case in accordance with Kenyan laws, giving room for the accused persons to face charges as per the laws of the land. Franklin Wala, Citizen TV.
All right, another story here. Mombasa Governor Abdulswamad Sharif Nassir has recorded a statement in the ongoing probe into the sexual assault of a 25-year-old blogger. Speaking outside the Coast Regional Police Headquarters, Governor Abdulswamad has distanced himself from the abduction and sexual assault. He says he's ready to cooperate with the police when called upon, and this comes a day after Lands Planning and Urban Development County Executive Member Hussein Mohammed obtained anticipatory bail extension for 7 days for the suspects at Chimolatewa prison over claims of participating in abducting and gang raping a Mombasa blogger.
Hiki ni kitendo ambacho kwamba lazima kiweze kulaaniwa. Ukijana kwa yale ambayo kwamba ameweza kufanyika, mimi mwenyewe kwa hiari yangu mwenyewe nimejileta. Hakuna yoyote ambaye kwamba yuko juu ya sheria. Hiyo iweze kueleweka. Iwe ni nani. Mimi mwenyewe nimejileta kama mfano ya kwa hata mimi pia siko juu ya sheria. Lazima haki iweze kupatikana kwa huu kijana, na vitendo kama hivi nimeomba DCI waweze kuharakisha na waweze kumaliza hii ili kila kitu kiwe wazi na kijana aweze kupata haki yake. Hili si jambo ambalo kwamba makamera yawe ni kwangu mimi. Makamera kwa yule ambaye kwamba pia anahitaji haki yake.
The reopening of the Hillside Endarasha Academy has been postponed from Monday 7th of October to Wednesday 9th of October due to incomplete construction works at the school. The new date was set after a meeting between officials from the Ministry of Education, the school administration and parents. And as Emily Chebet now reports, the complete change in the colors that trademarked the school is meant to erase some of the memories and make it easy for pupils to settle in.
Almost a month since the Endarasha Hillside Academy fire tragedy that took the lives of 21 boys, the school has postponed reopening by 2 more days. A stakeholder meeting at the school pushed the Monday 7th October reopening day to Wednesday 9th October 2024 to allow for full preparations.
The school is on top gear. They are moving very fast. They are working 24/7. They have done a lot of constructions and reconstructions to ensure that the runners are comfortable when they come back to school. However, when they came yesterday, we realized that there is some work that was incomplete, and the fundis told us that it was not possible to complete by Sunday.
The school has reduced the number of children who are boarding with all wooden beds in the girls' dormitory replaced with metallic ones, as per recommendations by the committee that examined safety in the school. The boys will be accommodated in the junior secondary school classes in the meantime, as construction of their dormitory is ongoing. One of the requirements was to do away with all wooden structures. Today's meeting at the school was meant to ensure all safety measures are in place ahead of the reopening.
We have settled for Wednesday, so that even if they complete before Wednesday, the school will take time to reorganize themselves, have staff meetings and the rest, to ensure that when the learners come in, those that are sitting assessments will just go on.
Kwa sasa tumesaidia watoto wetu nyumbani. We have been counseling my brother. Tumempeleka therapy, tumempeleka kanisani, tumemshughulikia, tumemwongelesha.
The government has provided 200 blankets, 200 mattresses, foodstuff, among other necessities ahead of the opening.
The boys lost their personal items, so the parents have been provided with 21,000 shillings. Among other assistance that the government has done, so that they are able to buy some personal belongings to their children.
Na sasa tumepona roho juu tumeshikiliwa na government, tumeshikiliwa na wakubwa wa shule. Kwa hivyo tutarudisha watoto tu hapa kwa hii shule Wednesday.
Hatuna hofu hata kidogo ati watoto wakikuja kuboard watachomeka. Hii ni mkosa kama ile ingine. Juu tunaendaga na magari inaaguka. Hiyo gari utasema nitatokaga hapa mpaka Nyeri miguu ama undana Nairobi miguu. Hata kwangu kukichomeka sitajinyoga, nitakaa wapi? Hillside hatutoki.
The school has reduced the number of boarding students from 300 to 195, 97 boys and 98 girls in a bid to decongest the school. Emily Chebet, Citizen TV.
Now, the higher education sector has been thrown into disarray with the temporary stoppage of the implementation of the new university funding model. The High Court today issued conservatory orders halting its implementation a year after the model was introduced. The stoppage comes as the government moved to address concerns about the criteria used to place students in bands for funding. Brenda Wanga has more.
The High Court's decision to slam the brakes on President William Ruto's controversial university funding model, albeit temporarily, is the latest hurdle in the implementation of the system that has faced more criticism than support from various education stakeholders. The Kenya Human Rights Commission and the Elimu Bora Working Group, Boaz Weruku and the Students' Caucus had sought the court's intervention last year to stop the government from implementing the model, terming it discriminatory, arbitrary, obscure, expensive, undefined and illegal.
Last year, we admitted students using this model. And what this model has done is that we have taken the amount that we are funding our universities from an average of 45 billion shillings every year to 82 billion shillings every year.
The model was one of the early changes that the president made in the education sector following recommendations of the Presidential Working Party on education reforms. The president introduced a 5-tier system of funding that categorizes students based on their perceived financial needs. Those students from the most vulnerable household would receive full funding in form of scholarships and loans, while the less needy would get less funding in forms of scholarships and more loans.
Yes.
This model, however, ran into headwinds on its rollout, with students, parents and stakeholders finding fault with the criteria used to place students in financing bands, as well as hiking the cost of courses for learners.
We shall also submit a petition to the court and to the parliament to challenge the implementation for this model, because where we are seeing this committee.
The hue and cry from the stakeholders over this has seen university students stage protests, with the government at pains to explain the model and get the buy-in of the stakeholders.
It is not. University chancellors are here. Vice chancellors are here. I don't know whether university vice chancellors are here. Who is willing to tell us that there is a difference? Yeah? Yeah, they are here. There is a difference. And this new model recognizes that a course in medicine costs 600,000 to train. A course in education costs 180,000 to train. And therefore, for a student doing medicine, Government of Kenya gives more for the student doing medicine.
The complaints have also seen the government form a 129-man committee to review the model and refine it to address the concerns around its implementation, particularly on the parameters used to categorize students in funding bands. The means testing instrument, which assesses household income levels and other factors, has also been criticized as an unreliable measure of a family's true financial situation. The High Court has stopped the implementation of the model pending the hearing of the case in December this year. The suspension of the model further throws a spanner in the works for the sector that is already grappling with a myriad of challenges.
I saw it in social media. I need to see what the court order really reads, what was stopped. Because you see, the university funding model was implemented last year. It is on its second year. So I need to read to see what was stopped. Yeah. What do they say they are stopping?
Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
Now to matters Social Health Authority. Acting Social Health Authority Chief Executive Officer Elijah Wachira has directed all healthcare providers in the country to continue using the hospital's insurance claims management system to admit and discharge patients in hospitals as they work on the new provider portal. This latest development comes as uncertainty grips dialysis patients in the country who relied on the critical service that was in the past offered under the NHIF scheme in most private hospitals, but proving difficult under the new health scheme. Marian Nyambura reports.
26-year-old James Kanyori, a dialysis patient, is a bitter man.
We meet him in Nakuru as he heads to a private medical facility within the city. He requires a life-saving procedure, dialysis. This is his second attempt today, but the hospital is skeptical about offering dialysis to Kanyori, who had previously acquired the service at the facility under NHIF. The confusion surrounding the transition from NHIF to SHA, putting his life at risk.
Wende, waambie watu yenyu watoe pesa 9,500. Na sasa mimi sina mahali ya kutoa pesa. Mimi ni mzee miaka 76. Sina pesa. Sina mahali nikiomba.
Kanyori leaves the hospital without the required care. He did not have the money.
Sahi niko mgonjwa. Damu haendelei. Sasa damu haifanyi kazi sasa. Sababu sina figo.
Florence Nyandieka, a caregiver, brought her husband to the hospital, but had to part with 8,500 shillings for one session.
Sikukuwa na hiyo pesa, ngakaa patara ya kukucha Tuesday, ngakucha leo ngausa mbuzi 2, ngakucha kumutibu hapa. Lakini wiki nyingine sioni mahali nitaenda niende kuuza kitu, sina kitu yoyote ya kwenda kuuza tena nimulete hapa.
The Kenya Renal Association has warned that the bumpy rollout of SHA has left dialysis patients in limbo.
For the sake of our patients, we want things to be a bit smoother. We want things to be handled a bit with more sensitivity. If need be, they give a special separate contract, a legal contract to dialysis service providers so that the dialysis patients can continue accessing this service.
I just hope that it doesn't cause a long-lasting impact on the lives of our patients, because before this directive was issued that NHIF should reimburse dialysis services, we had less than 600 patients on dialysis. Currently, we have more than 8,000 patients who require regular dialysis every day.
Amidst the rocky transition, hospitals will now be required to admit and discharge patients using the hospital insurance claim system that was in use before SHA was rolled out. A letter seen by Citizen TV, penned by acting SHA CEO Elijah Wachira to all healthcare providers in the country, reads in part, quote, "You are hereby notified that during the ongoing rollout of SHA, you are advised to continue using the hospital insurance claims system to admit and discharge patients at your facility. This system will remain operational and operate parallel as the authority implements the new provider portal, which will be used to verify and process claims." End of quote. This comes as Treasury CS John Buddy admitted that the ministry does not have sufficient funds to support the SHA rollout wholly.
Well, I know that we have challenges with funding this program. But again, I think the government also took a deliberate effort. You know, some of these things, if you keep on putting them, procrastinating and putting them as stories, you'll never implement them. So at times, it is better to roll out, face the challenges, resolve them as you move forward.
Thousands of dialysis patients wait to see if the government will act fast and just how the new health insurance provider SHA will benefit them. Miriam Nyambura, Citizen TV.
Now, police officers were today blocked from delivering unidentified bodies to the city mortuary in a standoff between the Nairobi City County Government and the National Police Service. The county government insists the morgue is filled to capacity, a move likely to impede police work as officers take bodies collected from scenes of crime and accidents to the morgue. And as Ode Francis now reports, police officers were stranded for the better part of the day, forced to keep bodies in their vehicles as they were denied access to the facility. And that story will come to us shortly from now. But first, let's focus on the developing story of the impeachment of the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua. And that is on Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has suffered yet another blow after the High Court declined to issue interim orders stopping Friday's public participation exercise over his impeachment motion by the National Assembly. This as Kirinyaga Woman Representative Jane Njeri declined to honor summons by the DCI over alleged plans to hire goons to disrupt the public participation in Kerugoya. Seth Olale reports.
With hours to the commencement of the countrywide public participation exercise over the Deputy President impeachment motion, Mukurweini MP John Kagusha conducted his own mini version of the exercise in his constituency. The legislator being among MPs who did not append their signatures to DP's impeachment motion tabled in the National Assembly.
Kama mtu wenu amefanya makosa, anapigwa kama anarudishwa kwa nyumba. Hatupigangi mtu tukimfukuza.
Ikiwa makanga ni baya, dereva ni baya. Wakienda waende wote.
Na kama watu milioni 8 walivoti Gachagua pamoja na Ruto, alafu haiwezekani aende agushwe na watu 200.
Juu si tulishagua Ruto juu ya Rigathi. Kwa hivyo mtu akiguza Rigathi, si tunamguza.
As residents of Mukurweini gave their opinion on the DP impeachment debate, Kirinyaga woman representative Jen Njeri declined to honor summons by the Directorate of Criminal Investigations officer in charge of Kerugoya over alleged plans to hire goons to disrupt Friday's public participation exercise in her backyard.
These claims, they are baseless. These claims, I believe, they are just a way of intimidating, especially myself, because I have been very vocal about supporting the Deputy President. I also voted no in regard to the finance bill. They even send you backdated KRA returns. They are also sending auditors. And I know more will come. But we are relentless in this pursuit because we stand for the truth and we will not be cowed or intimidated by anyone.
DP Gachagua is still putting up a fight. However, his efforts to stop Friday's public participation exercise over the impeachment motion by the National Assembly were futile. The High Court declined to issue interim orders. Instead, the hearing of the matter has been scheduled for the 9th of October. Seth Olale, Citizen TV.
And hours before members of the public get a chance to give their views on Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's impeachment motion, a section of members of parliament from Mount Kenya region now say they will not support his removal from office. Tetu MP Geoffrey Wandeto, Kieni MP Njoroge Wainaina, Nyeri Woman Representative Rehab Mukami, and her Embu counterpart Pamela Njoki have changed their minds after what they termed as consultation with the so-called ground. The leaders have called on President William Ruto and his deputy Gachagua to reconcile and focus on developing the country, as the impeachment will lead to division.
Kahangara, Geoffrey Wandeto.
When the names of the 291 members of parliament who signed the motion to impeach Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua was read out by the mover, Kibwezi West MP Mwengi Mutuse,
Rahabu Mukami Wasira,
the names of Tetu MP Geoffrey Wandeto, Nyeri Woman Representative Rahab Mukami, and Kieni MP Njoroge Wainaina were clear as their colleagues cheered Patriot.
Njoroge Wainaina.
But the Patriot tag did not last for 2 days. A visit to their constituencies and the MPs retracted their support and vowed to oppose any push to have a son of Nyeri County shown the door.
Our people, when we ask them, they do not see this as a priority. They think there are other priorities that we should be focusing on. And as representatives of the people, I think it behoves upon us to listen to our people and do what they have asked us. So on Tuesday, I will be voting no.
After researching na after kusoma hiyo kitu yote nikaona our deputy president, hii ni kitu wanaweza kaa chini na president wetu wajadiliane, kwa sababu Kenya ni kubwa kuliko sisi wote. Na kwa hivyo ndio sababu nimekuja na tumewasikiza, nimeshida the whole day nikisikiza ground, na watu wa Nyeri wamesema deputy president hawataki atolewe.
And after abandoning the quest to remove Gachagua, the leaders now want President William Ruto and his deputy to reconcile for the sake of peace and development in the country.
Na ningeomba deputy president wetu tafadhali enda kwa president wetu umuombe msamaha. Na wewe president wetu, tafadhali kaa chini na deputy president wako, kwa sababu wewe mwenyewe ndio ulimchagua, muongee, msikizane, ndio Kenya yetu iweze kwenda na mbele.
I want to make a personal commitment that what the people of Kenya will say is what I'll go with. It has never been that the member of parliament have the final say according to the constitution of 2010.
3 MPs from the county still support the impeachment. Madira MP Eric Wamumbi, who inherited Gachagwa's seat and who represents the deputy president in parliament, among other constituents, is among those who are still pushing for his removal, alongside Nyeri Town MP Duncan Madhengi and Odhias Wambugu Wainaina.
Pamela Njoki Njero.
Embu woman representative Pamela Njoki, who confirmed she signed the motion, now says she will have to consider the voice of the people of Embu before voting on Tuesday. In an official statement, Njoki states that after careful reflection and serious consultations with her constituents, she will be guided by her conscience and the people of Embu when it comes to voting for the motion. She further says that her priority remains the best interest of Embu and the country at large. The move by the 4 MPs also come just hours before the much publicized public participation exercise expected to be conducted in 47 counties and where members of the public will give their views on the matter. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
In the meantime, the National Assembly appears to be not only playing by the book in the impeachment bid against Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, but also seeking to tie up any loose ends. The unprecedented impeachment motion is a high-stakes game, and lawmakers are leaving no stone unturned, meticulously crossing the T's and dotting the I's. Melita Oletenges reports that the National Assembly seems to be keen on sealing all avenues of escape for the Deputy President, with signatures in support of the motion having shown that a majority favor the impeachment.
Article 145 of the Constitution doesn't mandate public participation in the impeachment process of the Deputy President in the National Assembly.
Honourable Speaker, I want to start by appreciating...
But National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula, after consulting the House Business Committee, has insisted on public participation on October 4th and that Gachagua or his representative is heard before a vote on the impeachment. Constitutional lawyers draw parallels between this impeachment process and previous county-level processes.
It doesn't change just because it is a president or a deputy president. The only difference is that instead of the proceedings beginning in the county assembly, they begin in the National Assembly.
There are, however, potential pitfalls that the National Assembly is trying to avoid. For instance, the Court of Appeal nullified an impeachment motion against former Embu Governor Martin Wambora due to the failure to hold public participation forums. In a different process, Lady Justice Mumbi Ngugi ruled that Makueni's Kivutha Kibwana wasn't given a fair hearing. Violating his constitutional rights, the impeachment was halted. In this regard, the National Assembly is leaving nothing to chance by advertising the public participation process in the dailies and scheduling a 2-hour hearing period for the Deputy President.
The National Assembly will need to meet a higher threshold than has probably been met in previous impeachment processes if they would like the process to be made judicial proof.
The Speaker's recent remarks, perceived as biased, could jeopardize the integrity of the impeachment process. Such missteps might provide Gachagua's defense the ammunition needed to challenge the proceedings, and in a quick rejoinder to the growing scrutiny, Wetangula has been quick to sanitize himself.
You have expressed yourself on this subject matter together with the Deputy Speaker.
It is not me who said it, it's the book. The book also says, if your right hand makes you to stumble, chop it off.
Evidence backing the impeachment process annexed to the motion, including money trails on accusations of money laundering and certified documents from the National Lands Commission and sworn affidavits, also illustrate admissible evidence as required by the law and standing orders of the House. To ensure transparency, the Office of the Clerk is also expected to translate the motion to Kiswahili, complying with Article 7 of the Constitution on the representation of the people. As the National Assembly tightens its grip on the impeachment process, attempts to derail it have been rebuffed by the courts. Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV.
And we are not done. Later on Data Point, after this break, we'll be moving to look at the options for the Deputy President, but also the numbers involved in that process that we now... Welcome back. You're still watching tonight, and it's time for Data Point. I want us to look at the next process for the impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, starting from what we know that on the 8th of October, which is next week on Tuesday, the National Assembly will be debating the motion and also listening to the Deputy President, should he choose to appear in person or to send legal representation. A two-third majority of the House is required to pass that motion, which is a number of 233, and then the Speaker of the National Assembly, should that motion be endorsed, has 2 days to submit that communication to the Speaker of the Senate, and then once the motion gets to the Senate Speaker will convene the Senate within 7 days to consider that motion. Remember, the move of the motion is the Member of Parliament for Kibwezi West, Mwengi Mutuse. He will also be required to move that motion, or rather to be the one to make the case for the motion at the Senate. Then the Senate will hear the charges against the Deputy President, and the Senate may opt to appoint an 11-member committee that is going to investigate that matter. So that 11-member committee will be required to investigate the matter, to report to the Senate within 10 days, and the DP can appear by itself or through representation. So should that committee of 11 be appointed and required to do that, then by majority of 6, they can endorse the impeachment, or they endorse or agree with some of the grounds of impeachment. Now, if the committee finds allegations not substantiated, there would be no further proceedings and the impeachment would stand defeated, meaning the House would not pursue that matter again. Now, if the committee finds any allegations substantiated, then the Senate shall accord the Deputy President the opportunity to be heard, and the Senate shall vote on impeachment charges, and 2/3 of the House is needed to impeach. And should the impeachment pass, then the Deputy President ceases to hold office. This is according to the Constitution. Let's take a look at some key numbers involved here. So remember, 117 is the minimum number of MPs required to back the motion. When it was tabled by the Member of Parliament for Kibwezi West on Tuesday, he said that he had 291 signatures. Now, 233 would be required to endorse that impeachment of the National Assembly. If an 11-member committee is formed at the Senate, then 6 would be sufficient to confirm some of those charges, and then the Senate would have to make a decision where 45 senators would be required to impeach the Deputy President. That is 2/3 majority. But were the Deputy President to survive the impeachment at the Senate, he needs at least 23 senators, meaning more than 1/3, and therefore means that the House would not meet the 2/3 required. Now, the Deputy President has options. He may choose to face his accusers, or he may choose to resign. If he faces the accusers, he can either defeat the impeachment motion or get impeached. And if he's impeached, he may appeal that decision at the High Court and thereafter go to the Court of Appeal, thereafter go to the Supreme Court until final determination. But if he resigns, these are some of the scenarios when he can resign. He could resign before the National Assembly considers the motion. Of course, tomorrow, you know, there's public participation across the 47 counties involving the 290 constituencies. The House will be considering it on Tuesday. He may choose to resign before then, or should the House vote to impeach the Deputy President, he can resign within that time before getting to the Senate. Once the motion gets to the Senate, he has no chance of resigning. And the question is, if he resigns after National Assembly confirms those allegations, would Senate still consider that motion? It is arguable. Some may say that it is the process of the Constitution, but then again others say that while at the Senate you do not have the deputy president in office. Therefore, we cannot go ahead to consider that impeachment. Now, the consequences are that should he be impeached, he may never run for political office, he may never hold any public office, and his political career would have ended, and he would also lose retirement benefits as contained in law that provides for retirement benefits of a former deputy president or a retired deputy president. And here are case examples whose political careers have ended through impeachment: Ferdinand Waitito, the former governor of Kiambu, and Mike Sonko, the former governor of Nairobi County. That's a look at the data point on impeachment of DP Gachagua. And related to matters of impeachment, a day after the Kericho County Assembly passed a motion for the impeachment of Governor Eric Mutai, he has secured a court order for his continued stay in office. The High Court in Kericho has instructed that Mutai remains in office and continues to discharge the functions of governor pending an inter-parties hearing on a motion challenging the procedure of his impeachment by the County Assembly. Mutai argues the County Assembly debated the motion and took a vote contrary to a court order suspending the exercise. His legal team is also arguing that the 2/3 vote threshold was not met. The Speaker of the Kericho County Assembly has been restrained by the courts from taking the next step in the impeachment process, which is notifying the Senate Speaker of the Assembly's resolution. The motion to impeach Mutai had the support of 31 MCAs out of 47, led by the mover, Kiprotich Rugoni. The Speaker of the Senate has also been restrained from receiving the resolution of the Kericho County Assembly for Mutai's impeachment, pending an inter-parties hearing. The court ordered that it should not be subjected to a debate or vote, and Mutai stands accused of misappropriation of publicly raised funds for the victims of last year's Londiani accident that claimed 53 lives, failure to automate on-source revenue collection, and indecency, among other charges. And now we return to our earlier story where police officers were today blocked from delivering unidentified bodies to the city mortuary in a standoff between the Nairobi City County Government and the National Police Service. The county government insists the morgue is filled to capacity, a move likely to impede police work as officers take bodies collected from scenes of crime and accidents to the morgue. And as Ode Francis reports, police officers were stranded for the better part of the day, forced to keep bodies in their vehicles as they were denied access to the facility.
Magari mweke hapa chini. Hatuwezi zunguka na mwili tangu saa 3. Mwili yenye tumeokota. Where do we get the next of kin? Hii gari imekuja hapa. Hii ni mara ya 4.
This is the situation at City Mortuary.
So where do we take the body? This is mwenye hatujui ni mtu wa wapi. Where do we take it? We have been tumekuja tumepeleka mwili police station. Now we have come back. Night is with us. Tutaenda turudishe mali tulitoa.
No more unknown bodies are allowed at this facility.
Ilisemekana bodies zote za polisi usiingie hapa. Hiyo ni kitu ya kwanza. Hiyo ni kitu ya kwanza. Na hiyo kitu utaenda kujibiwa kwa ofisi. So mimi ni authority nimepewa.
Citizen TV followed these police officers who arrived at this mortuary in the morning and turned away. The officers forced to remain with the body all day. When it dawned on the officers that they had nowhere to take the body, they opted to come back to City Mortuary at night. The junior officers had no power and their bosses were forced to get to the facility. They too were denied access.
For solution, yeah, I've been told to call you.
That you need to talk like a man. I think it's OCPD.
Mimi OCPD na ndugu yangu we are worked up kwa sababu tumetembea na mwili tangu saa 3. This is the third time I'm coming here. Tumekaa na mwili police station, tumerudisha. Up to now it is not being admitted. Niko mortuary ndugu yangu, niko City Mortuary.
As City Hall would have it, there is no space at the morgue. They say the mortuary is full, as it currently holds 607 bodies against a capacity of 184 bodies. Unidentified bodies will not be accepted.
Siku ya leo tumesimamisha ile admission ya bodies to Nairobi City na Nairobi Funeral Home kwa sababu kwa ile funeral home yenye ilianza mwaka wa 1956 iko na capacity ya kuchukua mili 184. Lakini kufika siku ya leo ile mili tuko nayo iko pale katika facility yetu ni 607. Hii ni kumaanisha kuwa hatuwezi offer ile quality services kwa wale wateja wetu, na kwa sababu ya hiyo tumesimamisha admissions mpaka tuweze kukilia ile congestion iko pale.
Staff at the mortuary were afraid to let in any police vehicles with unknown bodies, with the directive issued from City Hall putting them at risk of losing their jobs. This officer ordered to write reasons why he accepted 2 bodies brought in by police officers from Ruai last night.
The accident, eh? So, statement.
So hii statement unaandika ni kwa sababu uli receive million.
Makosa nilifanya ni kuruhusu hizi zikaadhibitiwa pale. So I don't know.
After a few calls to the county heads, the unknown bodies, after 9 hours of waiting, would be allowed in, leaving questions on whether the city mortuary is full and where the police take unknown bodies that they encounter in the course of duty.
But they could have even written to the police stations so that we don't pick bodies.
Where's the memo?
The only punishment even to the dead.
Ode Francis, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Welcome back. In business, Absa Bank Kenya has launched the Absa Kenya Foundation, an impact investment vehicle for the lender. The foundation will focus on 4 critical pillars of entrepreneurship, education, natural resources management, and health and humanitarian relief. Through these pillars, Absa aims to empower communities by equipping them with the knowledge, skills, and resources needed to thrive.
With the world paying close attention to the roles played by corporate entities in enhancing sustainability, the launch of Absa Bank Kenya Foundation will see the lender spend at least $500 million shillings in capital investment aimed to get the foundation up and running. This is on top of the 150 billion shillings already advanced to sustainable finance initiatives over the last 2 years. Absa notes that the move will help them increase their impact, with the bank already having supported over 250,000 young people through upskilling programs and investment in women-led enterprises.
As we set up the foundation and as we take this very important step in the journey, one of the things that we're looking at, of course, is how to finance it and how to fund it. And the funding model starts, first of all, with our own seed funding. We're looking in these initial phases of putting in about 500 million Kenya shillings of funding.
Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi called on the private sector to play a more crucial role in supporting government initiatives by availing capital to entrepreneurs who create opportunities in return.
Your support will help address the critical financial and capacity needs of our micro, small and medium enterprises. The creation of such an ecosystem of support, whether it is through financial, education, mentorship, or access to tailored banking solutions, will help lift entrepreneurs and small businesses out of survival mode and enable them to thrive and scale.
As entrepreneurs, we need more than just capital, for sure. We need guidance, support, and networks to help our businesses thrive.
The potential for Kenya's forestry sector is enormous, and I urge the private sector, especially the banking industry, to consider commercial forestry and agroforestry as a viable and profitable ventures, for not only to contribute to environmental conservation, but also drive economic growth and job creation.
The bank is committing at least 1% of its business profit to the foundation to enhance its capacity. The launch of the Absa Foundation now presents a new investment vehicle tailored towards impact investment for the lender in the coming years. Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Business conditions worsened slightly in September following a brief recovery in August. This is according to the latest data from Stanbic Bank, Kenya's Purchasing Managers Index. The survey points to ongoing economic difficulties for businesses and households alike. Dennis Otieno has more.
In September, the Stanbic Bank Kenya Purchasing Managers Index dropped to 49.7 from 50.6 in August, signaling a slight decline in business conditions. The fall came after a brief recovery in August, which followed a period of disruption caused by nationwide protests. Readings above 50 signal an improvement in business conditions on the previous month, while those below 50 show a deterioration. Surveyed businesses reported a reduction in sales, leading to a renewed cutback in activity. Economic challenges such as reduced cash flow among clients have contributed to the slowdown. Despite the softer demand, businesses increased their purchasing activity for the second consecutive month in hopes that sales might improve. Workforce numbers remained stable, with little pressure on companies to hire or replace workers. Firms also reported subdued confidence in future business activity, with only 4% of surveyed companies expecting growth over the next year. With inflationary pressures easing to 3.6% in September this year, there's hope that conditions may improve. However, much will depend on how the economy progresses in the months ahead. Dennis Otieno, Citizen TV.
Sandbox International will host the 4th edition of its annual Big Baraza Conference on the 17th and 18th of October, themed Game Changers. The two-day event aims to bring together over 500 entrepreneurs and business owners from across the country to discuss strategies for innovation and adaptation in the current business environment. The event will feature sessions that explore how businesses can leverage connections, opportunities, and strategies for growth. Sandbox International CEO Joram Winamo says this year's event will focus on the evolving entrepreneurial landscape with emphasis on the need for businesses to adopt new approaches to value creation.
We are going to have a lot of inspirational stories from entrepreneurs, a lot of learning, a lot of workshops, a lot of master classes. And the whole idea behind this particular conference is about game changers. Who are those entrepreneurs who go changing the game in our environment to build ambitious businesses that go ahead to change society and do things, great things, not just locally, but regionally and globally as well.
The one thing that changes the game for SMEs is when they're able to understand their customers, understand their products, and understand the value proposition that they are giving towards their customers. And this has been the hallmark of our work for the last 20 years.
We need to create an enabling environment, whether it's from a government perspective, whether it's from an infrastructure capacity, people building skills, etc. And really similar to what Chris said is understanding people's needs, customer needs. How can we be different? How can we be local? How do we bring the authentic Kenya to Kenyans?
The Ministry of Tourism has plans to diversify Kenya's tourism offering by promoting underexplored areas. The plans include tapping into sports and culture to increase the tourist numbers to achieve the target of 2.5 million by end of 2024 and 5 million by end of 2027. While speaking on the ministry's 2024-2028 strategic plan, Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Miano re-emphasized the need for collaboration between the government and grassroots communities on wildlife conservation.
Also committing to diversifying the products, the tourism products that we have in this country, so that we are not only known for the beach and the safari. We have culture, we have agri-tourism, sports tourism, and other niche products that we are working on, some of which have already been announced.